We are one of 190 communities across the nation that has a 1 Million Cups community. And so Sydney Cadmus had the opportunity to attend that this summer, and she was able to come back with a ton of inspiration and ideas for us. So she's going to be the second half of our program. All right, put your hands together for Sydney, guys.
Alrighty, thank you guys. Like she said, my name is Sydney Cadmus. I work at Economic Development here with Jessica here in Sedalia. So yeah, I was able to go to the 1 Million Cups Organizer Summit with Rayanne Spears, and so it was really cool. It was really rejuvenating, and it just kind of lit a fire in me that I didn't know was there. So I'm excited to share with you kind of what I learned and how I was able to connect with the other 190 community organizers that were there all over the U.S. So whenever they started the Organizer Summit, this was the slide that they put up. And just in case you can't read it, it says, think differently, open doors and listen, experiment together, consider the whole system and all points of view, take our work seriously but not personally, show with your body and actions that you're present with your mind, know that done is better than perfect, define and own our next steps, have fun together, and pay it forward. So I think it was really beneficial and cool that they started that, and they want us to bring that back to our community. So I just thought that was something that was cool that was trickling down the system. So you're probably wondering who started this. Ewan Marion Kaufman. This was straight from the website, and I just thought that they put it perfectly, so I'm going to read word for word. But it says, he left a legacy of the Kaufman Foundation in Kansas City, Missouri. He wanted his foundation to be innovative, to dig deep and get at the roots of issues to fundamentally change outcomes in people's lives. He wanted to help young people, especially those who come from disadvantaged backgrounds, which is why there is no registration for 1 Million Cups on Wednesdays, and there's no payment. So to attend, there's no payment, and to present, there's no payment, which I thought was really cool. And then he said he also wanted to help them get a quality education that would enable them to reach their full potential. So what is it that we did? We went to the Organizer Summit in Kansas City, Missouri. Like I said, there were 190 community organizers around the world. And so communities our size, communities that were smaller, larger, they were really pushing our 1 Million Cups chapters to go weekly. So right now we are monthly. And something that we're really working on is to build our pipeline for presenters and for us to really grow that. And so we are able to start going weekly. But so there are some that serve breakfast, some that just do coffee, some that struggle to fill their pipeline, some that have a waiting list for the pipeline. And so all the chapters were different, but we all came together to be innovative and refresh each other's minds, just because we all have the same issues in our communities and in our chapters, and so it was really cool to be able to relate with other community organizers all over. So when is Wednesdays, and it just, like I said, depends if you're weekly or monthly. So we all kind of got to laughing at the Organizer Summit because everyone was like, okay, why? Why on Wednesdays? It's like a random day of the week, it's in the middle, and really no other reason other than that's like whenever Mr. Kaufman started this foundation, the hotel that they had it at, they had breakfast free on Wednesdays, and so everyone was like, yeah, I'll come, free breakfast, whatever. So the panel wanted to keep that the same in honor of him and his dream. Alrighty, so where, just depends on your chapter. Whenever we were able to go to the 1 Million Cups session in Kansas City, they had it in a high school theater. So it just depends on your community, the size of your 1 Million Cups chapter, who attends. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. So this was super cool. So these were two of the speakers, Crystal German and Tamika Moss. They led the Diversity and Equity Inclusion session. And Crystal is a principal at Prosperity Labs, which is a strategy firm that works with organizations to create inclusive environments that recognize the unique assets and challenges of historically disinvested communities, and Tamika on the right here is an expert organization leader, developer at TBM Consulting. So they had this awesome thing called the Privilege Walk. Side note, this picture, so each speaker had a graphic designer up at the front, and this started as a blank white sheet of paper. And so as they were talking, these graphic designers were drawing and taking pictures, and it was just amazing. So anyway, the Privilege Walk, we're gonna do it, which I'm super excited about. So you'll see that at the top there, it kind of describes what this is, and you can, if you don't have enough, if you don't have enough pins at your table, there's a couple others at these other tables. But you'll start at 0 and then just follow, it'll prompt you, just follow it. I'll give you guys a few minutes to do that. Alright, so I'm seeing some people finish up. If you're not done yet, keep going. But if you're finished, you'll see these white pieces of paper on the back of the walls that have numbers on them. So the total number that you ended up with at the bottom, whatever that number falls in, go to that category. Okay. Okay, does anyone have thoughts? Were you surprised what group you ended up in? Are you surprised that there's a larger number in the group that you were in? Anybody have any thoughts? No? Okay.
I was surprised I was over here. I don't know why. I don't know where I thought it was going to be, but I don't know. Just because it's cool to see where everybody goes.
I thought I was gonna be alone.
Yeah.
You thought
Did
what?
I do this right? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so whenever we did this at the Organizer Summit, so I was in the 19 to 15 range, and it was crazy to me just because there were probably 30 people in my circle. And then we had somebody speak up that was in the negative numbers. And she said, you know, because there are not many of us here, she was like, I feel like I have to speak up for us because there's not that many. So if you'd like to, go ahead and sit back down and I'll explain kind of why we did this. So this was super eye-opening for me because I feel like Sedalia has a lot of diversity in it, but I have only surrounded myself with like-minded people, you know, that act like me, that look like me, that like what I like, because it's human nature, it's safe. And so it just opened my eyes to how it's easier for certain groups of people to be successful because of their privilege. So it makes me question, who is knocking on the door for 1 million cups to just come and attend, or that want to present but they can't because we don't have the pipeline to reach out to them. We aren't connecting with them in the way that we need to be. So we see these that we have, these were little tables at the Organizer Summit that they called Campfires. And these, you can't really see it in the picture because I didn't blow it up big enough, but the little colors are beads. And so you'll see here that, you know, if you were Caucasian or white, it was represented by an orange bead. And same thing goes. So blacks were blue, Asians were purple, Hispanics were red, and then if you had a mixed race, you were green. And so they went on to say in this activity, so if I had the last person that came to my house, if that person was white, then I would put an orange bead in my bag. Okay, if they were black, then I would put a blue bead in my bag, so on and so forth. And so it was amazing to see it's just stuff that you really don't think about. And so you can see my entire bag is orange. But also, so like this guy, he was from Iowa City, Iowa. This guy was from Boulder, Colorado. This guy was Sacramento, California. So they had a lot more diversity, and it really showed in their bags. And so it just made me open my eyes and really want to reach out to people, because there are some people that can't come to 1 Million Cups because they don't have a flexible 9-to-5 job. And maybe there's a language barrier with some people, maybe they only speak Spanish, or maybe there's a generation gap. There are so many factors that play into it that the Organizer Summit really made me open my eyes and realize that there are some people that we're just not reaching. Alrighty, so now that we have them in the door, what can we do? What can we do to make them feel welcome? So for attendees, if there are attendees that come every week, just get them involved, because if someone is coming and they don't feel welcome, or they just sit there and they don't talk, maybe they just need somebody to reach out and say, hey, thank you so much for coming. I recognize that you're here. I really appreciate you coming. Please keep coming. And so those people that are connected in the 1 Million Cups and they're active, so if they're asking questions, if they're taking pictures, they may be a good person to become an organizer. That way they can reach out into the community and get attendees and build your pipeline. And so then you can also ask them to invite others that might be interested. The people that they invite, they might not be entrepreneurs or want to present, but they might know somebody who knows somebody, and you just never know how that'll work. So, and then the last thing, just make sure you welcome attendees instead of just welcoming them. So what I mean by that is, if I reach out to one of you and say, hey, you can come to my house whenever you want. Just come whenever you want. Are you gonna come? Probably not.
I would.
Okay, yeah, maybe one person.
Just kidding.
But if I say, hey, I am having some people over for dinner Thursday night, 7 o'clock, I'd love if you'd come. Who would be more inclined to come, rather than if you just say, you can come whenever. So if instead of that, you can put that in with the 1 Million Cups. Instead of somebody saying, hey, just come to 1 Million Cups Wednesday, whenever, we'd love for you to come. So you can say, hey, I'll meet you in the parking lot, we can grab a cup of coffee together, and you can sit down with me, and I can introduce you to people that I know there. It's just a lot easier whenever you make those connections. So, and then what can we do with presenters to make them feel welcome? So whenever they're applying, after their application has been accepted, ask them to present out of interest, not desperation. So that again goes with, if I'm like, hey Caroline, we really need people to present, can you please present? Like, our other person just backed out, we're desperate, please, just, so no, because that doesn't make them feel important. So instead of doing that, if they apply and their application has been accepted, you can say, hey, we would love to have you. If you want to come to a 1 Million Cup session before you present, just how you know how things work, and then we can get on, work on getting you a date to present. Just simple stuff. Thank you for coming, and thank you for presenting. And then just making sure presenters are ready to present, and they're not just doing it because you asked. And then attendees are asking helpful, insightful questions, which I think our Sedalia chapter does a wonderful job at. So, this is Rayanne and I, and then Nicole Thompson, which she is one of the lead organizers for Jefferson City 1 Million Cups, and then this is Jennifer Shackles, and she is one of the lead organizers for the Columbia 1 Million Cups. So, at the end of our session, we broke out into our regions, and so we were obviously the Midwest region, and so they asked us, what is your key takeaway? And what are you going to take back to your community? And so my key takeaway from the 1 Million Cups organizer is that we're not alone in our community. There are so many people, so many resources. Technology is something that we just, I think, take advantage of. And so we're not alone to build our pipeline and to make the 1 Million Cups chapter a success. And then the thing that I wanted to bring back to Sedalia is that there are a lot of resources that we aren't utilizing. Like I said, mainly people and technology. So this is our Midwest rep. His name is Ben McDougall. And he said something that just stuck with me. And he said, in numbers, we create something special. So with that, if you'd like to become more involved in 1 Million Cups, this is my contact information, and I'd be happy to talk with you after.
So one thing I wasn't encouraged to do initially, and I think the organization has encouraged this, if you travel to another city on some other business, beforehand you should apply to present there while you're in town,
Yes.
and they might accept you or whatever.
Yes.
Can you speak to that, or is that a legit deal?
Yes. So I know that a lot of the chapters that they had, they wouldn't allow you to come and speak at 1 Million Cups until you had been at one of their chapters. And so if you couldn't do that, then they would have you come and like watch live and then just say what you got out of it. I'm not sure if that answered your question.
I didn't know if that was something that was actually encouraged to do, is present in other cities, other states.
Yes, so, and I think that just kind of depends on which city or community that you're going to. Because I know that I was talking to a girl from Oklahoma, and she said, our community doesn't really like whenever people from outside come in because they want to support locally. But I think, like with our chapter, we encourage people to come.
But you never know who you're going to meet there that's going to be a win-win for both people.
Exactly. And I am on the same page with you. Anybody else? All right. That's all I got.